Kievan Rus has fallen, but thanks to it, trade had become centered around it, Christianity would now forever be celebrated here, and the Russian people had been born. But 1054 threatened these achievements, and the same year confirmed the splitting of Christianity into Catholicism and Orthodoxy. These happenings held a noose around the neck of the very idea of Russia. So the states that emerged after Yaroslav were the Novgorod Republic, Vladimir Suzdal, Principality of Smolensk, the Duchy of Polotsk, Principality of Chernigov, Pereyaslavl, Galicia Volhynia, and Kiev. At first they did sort of obey Kiev, but over time strife grew, and war broke out. Also because of this disunity, Russia no longer had a tight grip over trade, and trade was moving from Russia to the Near East thanks to the Crusades, sort of. They fought for some time while nomads of the east raided their towns, but in 1097 they met in order to arrange the land to avoid war, which worked spectacularly. But one thing from the meeting that actually worked was, if one Kievan successor state attacked another successor, then they would work together to subdue it. Novgorod was originally a kingdom, but the powerful merchants rich from the lucrative Novgorod trade overthrew it, and in the mid-1100s proclaimed the only republic in medieval Russia. Novgorod was able to expand north and east, mostly because the lands were practically empty. They also explored, especially during the Mongol yoke. They also had many resources like fur, salt, and iron. Vladimir Suzdal was one of, if not the strongest kingdoms here. Its best rulers were Andrei Bogolyubsky and Vsevolod III, who ruled from 1157 to 1212. The former even conquered Kiev, and the title Grand Prince, which was the name of the fanciest king, went from Kiev to Vlad Suzdal, thanks to him. They both structured the political system to centralize power, but the land was split upon each king's death. The division of a kingdom was a popular process in medieval Europe, and thus Russia had more and more kingdoms, but we're not discussing them. The independence of Smolensk was secured by the 1130s when it was strong under Rostislav Michael, his father, and their successors, who made Smolensk a pretty good place. They inherited Kiev because of good old dynastic feuds, and most of them commissioned construction of churches, conquered new land, and also cities grew. Polotsk is a country ravaged constantly by nomads from the Baltic and Turkestan. Their kings are usually expansionists who burn down cities in attempts to rebuild Kievan Rus from their capital. But this is what ultimately breaks the people into Novgorodians, Kievans, and such, instead of Russians, by 1132. Chernigov, however, is a strong kingdom. It was ruled by the Olhovich dynasty, who were rich, and thus Chernigov was quite powerful. So much so, their kings were sometimes grand princes, fanciest kings around. Its culture was strong, and it grew in the 1100s and most of the 1200s. Chernigov's princes looked to the past to determine how to act. In short, they were extremely powerful. Pereyaslavl was founded by a team of 3 men who joined military forces to defeat nomads, and they also compiled one of the first East European law codes. This team also had control over Vlad Suzdal and Kiev. After 1093, Vladimir Monomakh was able to expand his domain and subdue all of the successor states, but this didn't last. But after him, Pereyaslavl was quite tumultuous. Galicia Volhynia, or GV, was originally 2 kingdoms, but after a Galician prince had no kids and died, Volhynia seized it near 1200. They were probably pretty weak as kingdoms, but as one they were powerful. The founder of GV, Roman the Great, united South Rus in 1204. But after his death next year, there was crisis, and foreign kings fought for GV. Mstislav Mstislavich liberated GV, and it was strong. The Kiev Principality's first prince was Iziaslav, who was a decent ruler, but was chased off by the Polotsk king in 1068. Kiev goes through numerous bad princes after. This is because all of the states here wanted Kiev, and put puppet rulers on its throne. So Kiev declined in all ways, but in 1223, the Mongols came, defeated Russians at the Kalka River, and would return in 1237. That was a lot to swallow, so let's summarize each state in one word. Traders, militaristic, decent, chaos, rich, decline, conquerors, and anarchy. So post-Kievan Rus is an interesting period in Russian history, where merchants determined politics instead of kings, their city could be burned down, and people fought to recreate the forever vague glory days, before near a quarter millennium of Mongol rule would come.